What if a single press of a button could bring Darth Vader to his knees? That chest panel does more than add to his intimidating presence. It controls his very survival. Some regulate his breathing. Others power his cybernetics. But hidden among them may be something far more dangerous. Thanks to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, we know more than you'd expect.
Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?
With that being said, let's get into what Darth Vader's chest buttons really do. The truth about Darth Vader's suit. On Mustafar, Anakin Skywalker didn't just fall to the dark side. He fell, burned, and barely survived. After his legendary duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was left with triple amputation, charred skin, and lungs filled with smoke. But Darth Sidious wasn't about to let his new apprentice get slain. Oh no, he had plans for him. To save Anakin, now fully embracing his identity as Darth Vader, Palpatine encased him in a life-supporting suit of armor. It was the only thing keeping him from slipping into death.
We will destroy everything in our path until he is found.
You seem agitated, my friend.
He will not evade me again.
But here's the thing. Yes, the suit kept Vader alive, but it also trapped him in constant pain. Coincidence? Not likely. You see, Vader became completely dependent on this walking life support system. It controls everything. His breathing, heart rate, movement, even basic bodily functions. And while we could talk about how that works in the bathroom department, let's focus on something way more interesting. Those buttons on his chest. The chest buttons control more than you think. You've seen them, you've heard them beep, but what do these buttons actually do? Well, according to Darth Vader, a 3D reconstruction log, those buttons are far from decorative. To put it simply, the control box on Vader's chest was everything, the heart of Vader's life support system. But like everything Palpatine designed for his apprentice, it was a double-edged sword. Because if Vader's armor was keeping him alive, why did it seem designed to torture him at the same time? Inside that box was a sophisticated processor, constantly analyzing data from Vader's broken body, every breath, every heartbeat, every failing organ. It monitored everything, reacting in real time to keep him alive.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Master.
And because Sidious wasn't one to make things easier for Vader, this system wasn't just functional, it was excruciating. How? Thousands of microneedles embedded in his flesh continuously collected data, jabbing into the nerves like tiny torture devices. It wasn't enough that Vader lived in agony from his injuries. His own suit ensured he never got a moment of relief. Now at the top left of this control box, you'll notice 3 glowing red lines. These were critical system displays, showing the real-time statuses of the neural system, the respiratory system, and the pulmonary system. If any of these failed, Vader was done. But here's where things got even crazier. Those glowing red lines were just the beginning. While the control box kept Vader alive, the buttons on his chest gave him the power to override it. Vader's emergency buttons. What if we told you Darth Vader's most dangerous weapon wasn't his lightsaber, but a single red button on his chest? Situated right below the green button, that's Vader's manual override switch, essentially a way for him to push past the safety limits of his suit. The thing is, Vader's body is barely hanging on under there, and his armor is designed to keep him within a safe range of exertion. But what happens when he needs more? What happens when he's losing? That's where this button comes in. One press and the system steps aside. No more limits, no more restrictions. If Vader needs to go full rage mode, this button lets him override his suit's failsafes and unleash his full strength. Of course, even Vader can't stay in override mode forever. That's where the blue button comes in. Positioned just above the red, this button acts as a reset, restoring control to the suit's automated systems when he's pushed too far. But that's not even the most terrifying function of this thing. Most of the other buttons, they're programming touch plates, allowing Vader to make adjustments to his life support. Except for one. This one isn't just for life support or movement or for strength. So what happens when it's pressed? The most crucial button of all. You see, according to Darth Vader, a 3D reconstruction log, that rightmost red button on his chest is basically his off switch. Press it and his entire life support system resets, leaving him completely helpless. So in theory, if a Jedi really wanted to end him, they wouldn't need a lightsaber duel at all. They just need to use the Force to press that one button, and Vader would be frozen long enough for them to take him out. Which raises the real question, why did no Jedi ever think of this? Well, someone did try it. Antinous Tremaine, a Jedi turned Inquisitor in the expanded universe. During a confrontation, he managed to hit the exact right button on Vader's chest panel, and what happened? Vader collapsed, struggling to breathe, completely vulnerable. If Tremaine had been quick enough, he could have ended it right there. Since this is Vader we're talking about though, he managed to recover. Now, we've talked about Vader's chest panel, but what if we told you his real weak spot was even more obvious? Vader's deadliest weak spot are hiding in plain sight. Turns out his belt isn't just for show. It's packed with an extra survival tech. And one of its most chilling features? It lets him manually regulate his breathing. That means when he crept up on Luke in the dark halls of Cloud City, it wasn't just move magic. He actually turned off his breathing to stalk him in total silence. Now, the belt was also packed with crucial survival tech, designed to keep him breathing, moving, and fighting. At the center sat the silver buckle. But this wasn't just some ordinary fastener. It was the anchor that connected all the suit systems, wires, and microneedles together, keeping Vader's cybernetic body in check. Without it, his entire life support system would fall apart.
There can be no mistakes. You're certain the tracker is with him.
Yes, my lord.
Which leads to the big question. Why does his supposedly top-tier Sith armor have so many weak spots? Why does it have buttons that could end him? Well, Vader was wondering the same thing. In Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, Vader actually complains about it. His cybernetic limbs were clearly outdated, not to mention his mobility, which was worse than General Grievous's, and that guy had been running on decades-old tech. So was this just bad design or something far more sinister? Vader's suit designed to keep him weak. Think about it. Palpatine doesn't want a Vader that's too powerful. He doesn't want another ambitious Sith coming for his throne. So what does he do? He gives his new apprentice a life support system full of built-in weaknesses. A suit that keeps him alive, but never lets him reach his full potential. But then there's one question that begs to be asked. Why didn't Vader just upgrade his suit? He was literally second in command of the Galactic Empire and had access to all the resources he could ever want. Believe it or not, there was actually a better suit designed for Vader, one that could have made him stronger, faster, and more powerful. But there was a big problem. To transfer from one suit to another, Vader would have needed the Emperor's help to survive that operation. Can you imagine the level of trust that would require? After all, Palpatine wasn't exactly known for being a caring boss. Without the Emperor's assistance, Vader would have been struck down during the process, and even with his help, it was still a risky procedure. So the new suit was never built. Instead, Vader relied on special meditation chambers, places where he could remove his helmet for short periods to recharge and rejuvenate. He even tried using the Force to sustain his body without the suit, but that didn't work. Here's where things got really interesting. Not only was Vader's suit outdated and restrictive, but it also had one major flaw, one that wasn't an accident. How Palpatine could ultimately control Vader. Vader was feared across the galaxy, a walking nightmare in black armor. But what if we told you that despite all his power, he was never truly in control? Vader's life support systems were highly vulnerable to electric shocks. And who was the galaxy's biggest fan of Force lightning? You guessed it, Palpatine himself. At one point, after Vader started pushing back against the Emperor's rule, Palpatine made sure he knew the truth. At any time I wish, I can end you. Can you imagine the horror of realizing your own master built an override switch into your body? Vader wasn't surprised, of course. He secretly reinforced parts of his suit with electrical insulators, trying to protect himself from his master's power. But it wasn't enough. In the end, his greatest act of defiance, saving his son, Luke, led to his death. Palpatine's Force lightning didn't even have to be directly aimed at him. The sheer energy from the attack was enough to completely fry Vader's life support systems. A final tragic flaw that the Emperor made sure would always be there. Do you think Darth Vader's undoing could be his own suit? Is it as easy as knowing which buttons to push? Literally. Let us know what you think in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.